We keep it simple with precision. Hi everyone, welcome to another YouTube video. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down two of the trades that I caught last week on GBPJPY and EURGBP. Okay, I was able to catch a beautiful move for the week last week on both pairs, and I'll be breaking down why I got in, how I anticipated for the move to happen, the entire analysis, and also why I closed the trade as well. Okay, so let's go to the charts, of course. Okay, so let's start off with GBPJPY, a beautiful pair to trade. So this right here was the trade. This was the move I was anticipating for. I was able to get a 1 to 2 plus RR on this move. I'm actually out of the trade at this moment. I'll be looking for more opportunities, of course, as the week progresses, because today is Sunday, right? So let me start off on a clean chart, right, to explain why I was anticipating for the move to happen. By the way, my strategy is super simple. Like, I keep it so simple. Like, there's no need to overcomplicate anything. So of course, we're starting off on the weekly time frame. Let me just take this out. Yeah, it was that weekly candle that I caught from the bottom. So starting off on the weekly time frame, we see that the past few weeks we've had back-to-back bullish candles, so we're bullish basically. On the daily time frame, we are also bullish as well, right? Because we have higher highs and higher lows basically forming on daily time frame. You can see that candles are blue, they are going up, so you should be looking for an opportunity to go up with the market as well. Okay, it's really that simple. Okay, so this was my thought process, right? I went down on the 4-hour time frame to anticipate for my zones, of course, meaning support and resistance, supply and demand zones. So starting off on this zone here, we have a level of resistance that could potentially turn into support, right? For price to come to test and go up. That was my first anticipation. And then second anticipation was off of the demand zone that basically created the whole entire move, right? The demand zone is basically an area of rest right before the aggressive move to the upside, basically. So that's simple. So these were the zones I was watching, right? And I was basically just waiting for an opportunity. So at first, price came to my area of interest, and at this point I was honestly anticipating that, okay, maybe price would actually buy up from here, right? But I'm not just going to jump in because price is my area of interest. I have to wait for an entry confirmation before I get into a trade, right? So that's where our candlestick analysis actually comes into play. So I kept watching. What day is this? Okay, this was Monday. My favorite entry confirmation would be engulfing candles, right? Although we had a blue candle in this zone, it did not engulf the previous bearish candle, so that's not enough confirmation for me to get into a trade. So at this point, price had broken underneath the zone, right? So the next zone is this zone right here. So I kept waiting and watching, and at this point price had come down to this zone right here. Okay, and it was basically playing around for a bit. It was playing around for a bit, you know, coming lower and lower into the zone. But remember, I'm looking for a bullish engulfing candle to get into the trade. Okay, and if price ends up breaking underneath this zone and continues going down, then the entire buy validation or the entire buy trade idea is no longer valid, because that would be a clear break of structure to go to switch the market to be a bearish market, right? Okay, so basically I kept watching. So at this point, when this bullish candle was created, it is an engulfing candle, right? Because the body of the candle ended up engulfing the previous bearish candle, right? and that's a valid confirmation to get into the trade. But honestly, I was not loving the wick to the upside. You see this long wick basically means exhaustion. I was not loving the wick to the upside. So the two options for me at that point was I would either wait for another bullish candle to get into the trade, or price could potentially use this exhaustion to come back into the zone, play around for a bit, give me another confirmation to get into the trade to go long. Okay, that was my thought process. And the next candle that printed was a bullish candle, and that was enough confirmation because we have not just one but two bullish candles coming off of our zone to get into the trade. So at this point I went long on the markets. Okay, stop loss just below the zone, target at the previous high. It's that simple. Once you're in the trade, you accept the risk. Okay, once you get into your trades, you have to accept your risk so that you can actually maximize the trade idea. So I was in the trade, price played around for a bit, and then we had some USD news that basically spiked the market to the downside. I opened up my MetaTrader my trading view, and I saw that, you know, I was in a bit of drawdown, but I already accepted the risk, so it is what it is. Yeah, so I just kept waiting and watching. And I was basically watching for this zone to be broken, okay? Because this is a previous resistance zone. I did not want price to, you know, use it as resistance again and start going down. But either ways, I already accepted the risk, so it's whatever. Yeah, so at this point, price had broken above the zone. It was a clear confirmation that, okay, it's time to go to the upside, right? And that's exactly what price did. So at this point, I was still in the trade, right? While the bearish candles began to print. I was actually anticipating for price to, you know, break the previous high before the week ended. That's why I actually stayed in the trade, even if I was almost at my target. So I stayed in the trade, right? But then by Friday, price did not end up breaking the previous high, which is okay. But I decided to take my profits because, you know, it's just so close to my target, so there's no need to just stay in the trade for a new week and then you take on some swaps and commissions and all of that stuff to reduce your profits even further. So I was in some good profits. I closed my trade and I walked out of this trade idea. Okay, so this is like, swing trading is just so simple. Like, it's just straight to the point. Like, just follow what the market is showing you. Like, you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to draw so many lines and make the whole trading so like complicated, you know. But let's go to Euro GBP. Funny enough, oh god, Euro GBP. Okay, let's go to Euro GBP first. Okay, so this right here is Euro GBP. It was a clean trade idea as well. It's just so funny because I'll tell you this. When I first started trading, there were specific pairs that we used to trade. You know, we used to trade like the US 30, NAS 100, S&P 500, and gold. Is that okay? The market is open. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. Okay. We used to trade indices mostly at the time. That was in 2020, 2021. You know, it was like if you're trading indices, you're kind of like the big dog in the market and stuff like that. But now in my trading, like, I don't even care like what the pair is. What I'm focused on is my trading strategy. Like, are you going to print for me what my strategy demands, right? So I'm no longer attached to those like titles or those labels, because I was once called US 30 Queen for a period of time, but right now I don't even care. Euro GBP is a pair that I've probably traded only one time in the last 5 years. That's why it's just funny to me. And it's also a pair that I used to look down on, but I walked away with some good cash last week on the pair. So don't look down on these pairs, okay? They're doing their own thing. Anyways, let's do the breakdown real quick. Let's do the breakdown. Okay, so this was basically the trade idea, right? This was the trade idea. Let me go to a clean chart so we can do a fresh analysis. I'll take away my bar replay tool. Okay, so bar replay. The thing is just tanking now that the market has opened. The market just opened for the week. Okay, so very quickly started off on the weekly time frame. Let me get the replay so to delete that weekly candle. So starting off on the weekly time frame, we see here that we have back-to-back bearish candles. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to note. Then we go down to the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we see that price has just very recently switched from bullish to bearish. Okay, we have a level of support here that price is trying to use as resistance to go short. Okay, I hope that is super clear, but I will do a video to explain how to drop your support and resistance zones. But basically it's simple. You see the multiple touches, you see how the candles basically stopped at this point, stopped at this point, and then finally broke down. That basically indicates a strong support level that could potentially be used as resistance at a later period. Okay, so that's the point of view I had. So starting going down to the 4-hour time frame, of course. I think I got into the trade on Monday or Tuesday. Of course, I was watching when the market had opened on Sunday, right? Price came back properly into the zone again. So at this point, of course, I'm looking for my entry confirmation because we don't just jump into trades. Okay, so let's go on to, I'm going to pause that. Okay, so I was watching. So at this point, I had seen back-to-back bearish candles. So these would be regarded as a bearish variation pattern, or what do you call it, 3 bearish crowns or something. But the point is, sellers have come into the market. You don't have to know the fancy name. Yeah, so at this point, I had seen the bearish variation pattern. So it's time to go short, right? So regarding my target, I had seen a previous zone on the daily time frame where price used as resistance for a period of time. You can see the touches, 1, 2, 3 touches. So this was basically my area of target, right? Yeah. So going back to the 4-hour time frame, at the time when I had executed the trade, that was on Monday evening, right? Yeah, Monday afternoon / evening. So I got into the trade and price was just chilling. And then at the close of the Monday candle, if you go to the daily time frame, you would see how nicely and how bearish the daily candle had closed, right? You see that the candle had a very long wick to the upside and then almost no bottom wick. So this basically indicates a huge a lot of bearish pressure or a lot of selling pressure. That's what it indicates. So at this point, I was basically in the trade and I'm like, yeah, this is my setup right here. This is my setup. So you see that the alerts target hits on EURGBP. Yeah, this is my trading view alerts, my favorite type of alert. Target hits on EURGBP and the GJ has finally hit the target, but it is what it is. We'll move on to the next opportunity. So yeah, going back to the 4-hour time frame, we're basically in the trade, right? And while you're in the trade, you have accepted the risk. However, you're also watching and monitoring the price action that is printing as well. So this trade did take quite a few days. Like it went into some major profits and then just totally reversed the entry. And I'm like, bruh, are you kidding me? Like, be so for real, come on. Anyways, but yeah, that's sometimes is annoying, but at the same time you have to think like a trader, right? Because that's what we're doing here. We are traders. So yeah, price did reverse back to the entry, but eventually, because it's a value trade idea and it's off of the higher time frames, there was no reason to fear. Okay, eventually went all the way down to the downside. Super simple, super straight to the point. If I take this off now, price should have hit, yeah, price has finally surpassed the targets, as you can see right here. Okay, so this just goes to show you that trading can be easy if you make it easy. Like, it can be so straight to the point, what you need is a good strategy that actually makes sense in the markets. Like all the stuff I've been showing you on Chart Nation FX page, all the trades I have been catching, like they're simple trades, like it's not rocket science. Okay. But yeah, I'm hoping for a beautiful week. I'm about to have the Sunday market preps with Eva, a session in about an hour. So I'm going to be breaking down the trades for this week. So I'm hoping to walk away with a nice bag this week as well. Okay. So I hope that explanation was simple, easy to understand, most especially. I'll see you guys in my next video, of course, and I'll see you guys in live session in an hour.